All right, fam, welcome back. This is chapter 11. Like I said, I will have it in the PDF in the right book form to you. Um, I'm just not, I haven't gotten back to normal yet. You know, no matter how hard you pretend, it's just hard to get back to your old self. I can't sleep at night. It's just some stuff that I'm trying to deal with that I'm working through. But time is healing it. It's just taking a lot longer than I thought. So please bear with me. I will get it to you. We'll be back on track next week. But I hate to miss classes because everything is based on continuity and consistency. And chopping it up just doesn't work. So believe me, if I have to, it's a really strong reason. But we're gonna talk about extreme execution. Okay, we have to execute every day. We have to execute, and we have to execute at a high level. If we don't, then we're basically wasting our time is when we do this. So where we are right now, just to kind of get us caught up, we're building out our trading framework. Okay, and everything, solidifying our risk management. That was focusing on thinking in probabilities. That's our risk management strategy. Probabilities. You may not think it, but it is. Our risk management is taking every trade that sets up and making sure that we execute, perfectly. Now, our weaknesses that we identify, these are going to show up when we start trying to trade and implement the probabilistic mindset that we talked about in the last one. So it's all about making sure that we're executing at a high level, and we like to call it extreme execution. That's what it's all about. So the trading framework, it doesn't take much to get that framework up. But in order for us to hold up the rest of the house, the framework has to be there. The foundation is the key. The framework, if the framework isn't there, the roof is coming down. So we've got to make sure we've got all of this here in place, and that we're building ourselves up to where we just come in every day. Basically, what I do every day, I come in and I rinse and repeat. And if I need to fix something, we've got the maintenance and repair tab, but I come in every day, rinse and repeat. That's where you need to be. That's where everybody should aspire to be. That's what this 90-day program is. This is what the 12 hours of mentoring is, to help you get to the top. And once you get here, that's it. You don't need to spend a whole lot of time or money trying to learn new things, because you'll know how to adapt your strategy to continue to make money. That's what it's going to be. That's what it's all about. So effort is not enough. Just because you put in effort every day, just because you come and you sit in the market, just because you took this class, this boot camp, that boot camp, doesn't matter. If you can't execute, everything that you spend all your money on is worthless. And if they didn't teach you how to execute, then shame on them. All right, so execution is everything. Effort is not enough. You do have to put in the effort, but the effort needs to lead toward execution. For us, execution is worship. You hear this from E.T. He got it from this guy, Dan Gilbert. Says innovation is rewarded, but execution is worship. We can learn all of the theory in the world. You have all of these people, all of these teachers, these trading educators online teaching you all the theory, and they may be good at theory. They may have the theory down pat, but if they can't execute it, it's worthless. Okay, it's worthless. If you can't execute on all the knowledge that you've gained up to this point, is useless. So that's why we're going to keep focusing on execution, and this building off of the probabilistic mindset, because you're gonna, in order to make the probabilities work, the theory and probabilities work, the execution has to be perfect. So the best trading strategies and the tightest trading plans, again, they're worthless if you can't execute them. You can sit here and make the most beautiful plan, like this morning. You know, I had the perfect plan. My goal was to get this down to the 100-day moving average. All right, it didn't quite get there. It got stuck at 191. I had the perfect plan. It didn't work out, but I executed it, I feel, to perfection. Same thing when I got in and was looking for the continuation. I was looking for that move. It didn't work. You know, once it proved to me that we were done and that the trend was changing, I'm out. Okay, and we're going to reset and look to do, you know, some other things. So right now, this strategy I had, if I couldn't execute it, it would be worthless. The trade would be worthless. So most traders do not understand the right concept of trading success. Most educators do not teach it. They don't teach the right concepts of trading success. They teach you how to trade. They teach you how, you know, to identify strategies and things like that. But the proper concepts of trading success is executing. It's accomplishing what you say you're going to do, doing what you say you're going to do, and doing it when you say you're going to do it. So just sitting back saying, I plan on doing this, and then you don't execute it, but, you know, you try to find a win in the fact that you planned it. Okay, great. But now it's time to execute. It is time to execute. So take a minute and think about how many trades that you followed your trade plan perfectly. Now, those of you that's had mentor sessions with me, you know one of the things that I tell you to do first when you are reflecting on your trades is how you need to set them up according to trading errors. How you need to separate them and lay them out. Okay, look at how many trades you've taken overall versus how many that you followed your trade plan perfectly and you didn't make a trading error and all of that. All right, that's what I'm talking about. So here's a solid quote from Mark Douglas. You know I'm a Mark Douglas fan. It's his teachings that got me to where I am today, and that I've used to help other traders get to where they are. If you trust the process, you'll get there. But the proper execution of your trades is one of the most fundamental components of becoming a successful trader. That's why this is part of is part of the framework. It's a key component to building out your trading framework. Okay, and probably the most difficult to learn. Why? Because perfect execution entails not only the right mindset, but learning how to think in probabilities is part of that mindset. The trader mindset, one of the key components is thinking in probabilities. That's a key component. There are other things you're going to have to be able to do, like disconnect the money from your trade so that you can focus on the chart. Stop focusing on risk and start focusing on reward. The risk is always going to be there. The reward is what we need to gain the most out of. Okay, case in point, looking at the trade this morning, the risk was the same. The risk is always going to be what you say it's going to be. If it's going to be $300, $600, whatever, that's the risk. But the profit potential could be limitless. That's where the focus has to be. Our risk is fixed, but our profit potential isn't. And that's where the focus needs to be. Not worrying about, are we losing money? Are we red? If you're reading the chart and you're understanding the chart and your plan is based on the chart, you will be successful. Bottom line. Doesn't matter how many losing trades you have in a row, how many winning trades you have in a row, you will be successful. Can't put it any more plainer than that. Alright, so your trading will take off. Those of you that have worked with me and your focus has been on execution, we started this years ago. If you finally got to the point where you just focused on execution and you're not worrying about all the other BS that's out there, all the other noise that's out there, you just focus on executing and doing you, your trading should have taken off. So how do you do it? You program your mind to execute a trade plan consistently, no matter what. If you remember way back when I gave you guys the exercise, a lot of you weren't able to do the exercise. Guess what? Have you found success yet? I doubt it. Because if you couldn't do that simple exercise, there's no way in hell you're going to make money trading. I told you that. And that's 100% true. If you can't execute a simple trading plan over and over and over again, regardless of the results, you will not succeed in trading. It goes back to the casino, the dealers. As long as they execute and their plan every time, they're going to make money. If they get tired and they start screwing up, they're going to replace them. They're going to say, hey, take a break. We got a fresh dealer coming in. They have to execute at a high level. And then they can't worry about whether they're winning or losing. They're just focused on doing their job. So when you do that, you don't deviate. And you don't change up things because of the results. Because you don't have enough results yet. You don't. You don't have enough. You have to get enough trades in that's perfect, that you executed perfectly before you can get to that point. All right? I hope this is making sense. All right, the perfect strategy. Just like happily ever after is a romanticized concept, so is the perfect trading strategy. A sound strategy is developed and perfected during the implementation process. So if it's going to be perfect, it's only because it was shaped by execution. Let me say that again. If your strategy is going to be, perfect in terms of everything that you're looking for, what's going to trigger your entry, where your profit target's going to be, how are you going to scale out, how are you going to establish how much room to give it. That is developed through implementing the strategy. In other words, you're learning by doing. You're developing by doing. That's the way I taught my classes. That's why my classes, my students were so successful, and we blew people away when we went to competitions. That's how we learned. And that's why we always say, okay, you start in the simulator, and you learn how to process that way. And you get to the point where all somebody does is come in and flip a switch and you're live and you don't even know it. You're just continuing to do your thing. That's where we want to get to, in this trading. Okay, that's where we want to get to. All right, since a strategy is guided by execution, we must realize that our planning will take on many shapes before it reaches its successful form. Okay, and this is why I always suggest that when you get started and you find a strategy that you like, instead of you going out trying to find your own thing and do your own thing, you have to be proficient with a proven strategy before you start making adjustments. Before you go out, like I've had people try to trade my strategy and then implement cam pivots and all that stuff. Well, if you can't trade it the way it's meant to be traded, adding all of this other stuff is not going to make it any better. Eventually you're going to find yourself so lost and so frustrated that you don't know what to do. The only thing you can do is start over again. And unfortunately, the process goes because you're looking at, you're watching YouTube, you're watching Twitter and all of these other places, and somebody new comes on and is like, hey, I got this thing, it works beautifully and blah blah blah, and you're like, oh man, this is great, let me try to add this, and it's just messed up. Alright, so you need to learn to develop the right mindset and implement this proven strategy, one that you're being taught the way it's being taught to you. And once you're able to execute that consistently, very few trading errors, then it's time that you could start, hey, maybe this can help me get more profit. And you'll be able to test it the right way so that you'll know for sure whether it's giving you the best results or not. All right, so in other words, start with execution. Start with execution and subsequently define your strategy. Let me say it again. We start with execution. We have to be able to execute. If we can't execute, we can't learn the strategy right, and we won't be able to implement it to the point where we know whether we could successfully do it or not. It's very, very important. All right, unsuccessful implementation of your trading plan is often the result of planning for planning's sake, rather than planning with the ability to execute the trade plan. If you're just planning something and just to say you have a plan, but you don't have, there's nothing else behind that, you're wasting time. So when you're planning a trade, you have to plan on how you're going to execute, your ability to execute it. That's key. So if you believe you already have a perfect strategy, you'll never see the need to go back and revise it once you start working toward larger goals. Okay, once you get if I've got a strategy, let's say 5-minute opening range strategy. Okay, if I believe that 5-minute opening range was perfect, meaning wait for the first 5-minute candle to print, get in, after that, work the trade from there. If my mind was closed to revising that strategy when I got better, then I wouldn't have been able to get better. So as I did it, I started to see, hey, when these stocks break the pre-market high or low, they tend to set up and give us a good 5-minute opening range trade. And so I implemented that. Now, it's not working as good in terms of follow through now because of the market conditions. But when I did it and when I made the adjustment, the market conditions were conducive to it. All right, so instead of risking wasted time and failed execution, think of your trading strategy as a living, evolving entity, meaning you'll routinely revisit, reanalyze, and make updates based on how things are going in real time. All right, what happens? Here's a question for you. When the market's really choppy like this, but it still is triggering entries and everything, what do you do? What are you looking at to adjust? The markets set tight ranges and they, intraday and they trade. What's the first adjustment that you're going to want to make? Anybody? Someone said share size, position size. When you do that, you're trading scared. So I don't suggest reducing share size. Let me qualify that. I don't recommend changing share size as the initial thing. Okay, if you start to see trades, a little bit more volatile, they're chopping around a little bit more, you're not getting the follow through that you normally get, what do? Yeah, you got to give it more room. And in order to give it more room, then you can look at reducing your position size. But if you look at the market and it's all over the place and you're like, oh man, I'm just going to reduce my share size. Because that means you're scared. You're trading scared. And that's when you make the decision to sit on your hands. All right, so when you adjust your share size, it needs to be because I'm looking at the market condition. I need to give my trades more room. So I'm going to reduce it. Okay? All right, so you might have meant that already. If you did, great. I just wanted to clarify that. Yeah, you have to give wider stop. If you've got to give the trade more room, you've got to give wider stops so that it can work. All right, another thing that we do is we take profit a little sooner. We're going to take profit a little earlier. We're not going to make as much money. Guys, if the market's chopping in a range and it's not following through and giving us the big moves, we're not going to make as much money. Okay? So again, the number one, you want to make sure that if this scares you, stay the hell out of the market. It's just that simple. Or you can practice in a simulator and try to get comfortable trading in this market. That goes back to developing your strategy during an implementation process. You go back to the implementation process. You start working on executing the adjustment and being confident with it. If you're not confident and you're scared, you got to drop it. All right, got to walk away. So the other thing I like to do is, take profit a little bit earlier. Obviously, the risk reward in a market like this is not going to be as good in a trending market. It's not. That's just part of what you have to accept. Again, if you can't accept it, don't trade it. Just wait. It'll come back around. We'll get days where we get pretty solid moves. It'll come. All right, so again, when you routinely revisit, reanalyze, and make updates, subtle updates to your strategy, your process, real time, you're going to be able to course correct more frequently, more efficiently, and you're going to have better results. All right, you understand where we're going with this? So, number one, we're thinking in probabilities. We covered that. We're thinking in probabilities. We're understanding that we just have to keep taking trades. So when we do our reflection and we start to see a pattern, after we've taken enough trades and we identify a pattern, if we follow this process to adjust our trading versus just abandon this and go run after something else, you're going to be successful. You're going to continue to be successful. That's why you see me completely, crap out for a couple of days in a row. I don't change anything. I just keep going. And then all of a sudden, everything turns around. I haven't done anything differently, other than make a subtle adjustment here or there, you know, widening my stop or taking profit a little bit earlier. I know I'm not going to make as much money. I know the risk versus reward is not as good. It's not bad, but it's not as good as it is, when the market's really, really working. Doesn't matter. All right. Does anybody have any questions? And like I said, I talk about this with a lot of you guys one-on-one. We talk about this. But the key is some of you get mad because if you're not doing what you're supposed to do, I can't help you. I know what doesn't work. But it's about putting in the effort in the right place. All right. Any questions or comments? I mean, you can say, Ed, I think this is a crock of you know what. You can say, Ed, this is a crock of you know what, but tell me why. Let me know why you think that. All right, no questions. So I explained this perfectly. No questions. Either I did that or I put some guys to sleep. And, they'll wake up and they'll be the last one in the room. That's happened to me before. I hate, I was in a meeting and I fell asleep. And I was the last one there. Yeah, I like to believe I'm a great teacher. I'd like to believe that. All right, guys. So I'm going to kill the recording here. I'm going to get it uploaded so you'll have it. Again, the PDF in the book form will be coming, and we'll be caught up for next week. So you probably get 11 and 12 at the same time, and then we'll pick up next week.